Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Arts Advocacy Day 2026 Captain Info session. Thank you all for being here today and joining us. And this is a session that's catered to returning captains as well as new folks to learn about what this program is about and all the wonderful things we have to offer to support those of you that will be applying to be captains. So we're going to get started. Again, welcome to our info session. I am Jennifer Kuo. I'm the Special Projects Consultant for CA for the Arts, and I'm managing the Captains program for this event. I am located on Tongva land, also known as Los Angeles. So we welcome you to introduce yourself in the chat. Please acknowledge the indigenous land where you reside or are located. If you'd like to share like a link to what you do, who you work for, feel free to do that in the chat so we can connect with each other. And again, this session is being recorded. The recording and the slide deck will be shared amongst all registrants. So anyone that missed the info session, they'll be able to watch it later on our YouTube page. All right, so here are some quick tips for accessibility. To enable captions, you can go ahead and click on the CC button located at the bottom of your Zoom window. You can turn this caption on and off at any time for your preference. It will only display on your screen, and you can also adjust any settings. If you have any questions throughout the session, there will be a Q&A portion at the end. You can also drop your questions in the chat box, and Jenica here on our team will be answering them along the way and collecting some questions for later on. And then for those of you that may not be as familiar with us, California for the Arts is the 501c3 nonprofit org that focuses on fostering public awareness and generating resources. And then CA Arts Advocates is a 501c4 lobbying leg focusing on public policy. So here is our agenda for today. We're doing some welcome introductions in the chat, and we're glad to see new names on this call who are interested in also returning captains. We have made some changes from last year, so thank you all for being here today and learning about the offerings for this year. And again, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box. So we're going to go over the overview of Arts Advocacy Day. We're going to touch upon the benefits and resources for captains. We'll talk about the responsibilities and the timeline and key dates. And then we have a special treat where we have a couple of our previous captains today joining us to give their testimonials about their experience. Then we will go on to next steps with the application process, and then to some Q&A, and then we're going to wrap it up at the end. So meeting the team, Tracy is a director of policy and advocacy, and for this event, she is acting as a director and developing all the talking points and policy priorities. She is traveling today, so she will be hopping on during this call at some point and say a little hello for her. Then Jenica here on the call today is the Organizational Advancement Manager for CA for the Arts and project managing this event overall in terms of logistics. Myself, I am the Special Projects Consultant for the org and managing as the captain's coordination and management. And then we have here with us this year, Charlie, who's our Arts Advocacy Day intern. So you may see her name pop up as well. So give a wave, thank you. All right, so looking like the chat is going, so thank you all for engaging in the chat. Let's go through an overview about what this event is about. So Arts Advocacy Day will occur on Tuesday, April 21st, in person in Sacramento at the Capitol. And Arts Advocacy Day is an annual event that brings together arts organizations, creative workers, educators, and community advocates to raise the importance of the arts and culture sector with state lawmakers. We will kick off the day with an energizing press rally featuring dynamic speakers and powerful performances before we march to the Capitol together. So we're calling on arts and culture leaders to step up and serve as captains for this day. Captains play a vital role in coordinating meetings with lawmakers, guiding advocates, and amplifying the collective voice of California's creative community. You will be equipped with resources and talking points needed to make your advocacy impactful and effective. So feel free to show some emojis or drop in the chat if you are a returning captain. I want to see how many of you are there today. Give a wave, thumbs up, yep, hearts, confetti. Awesome, awesome, lovely. And thank you all to the new folks joining us as well. Awesome. All right, so why should you consider being a captain? So by helping to organize and mobilize others, you'll be at the forefront of ensuring arts and culture are seen, valued, and supported as essential to our state's health, economy, and future. This event creates direct contact between the arts community and decision makers, enabling voices of artists and culture bearers to be heard in legislative conversations. So we have this brand new short video to kind of give you an orientation about what Advocacy Day is all about.
Hundreds of advocates, one voice, one day. Once a year, artists and advocates from across California come together for one powerful day. We start at the Capitol with a rally. Artists, organizers, and elected leaders share stories of impact and why arts advocacy matters now more than ever. After the rally, we bring the arts to the streets. Through performances and a parade of creativity, we show lawmakers how our communities flourish when art is valued. Finally, advocates meet directly with their lawmakers, sharing stories, data, and policy solutions for a thriving, creative California.
We're here advocating for the arts because arts are essential, arts are healing. Arts is everything that we need to heal the soul and to also thrive our communities and make sure that everybody can come together and we continue to thrive.
This is Arts Advocacy Day. Join the movement, change the paradigm, create new possibilities by using your voice. You belong here. Join us at Arts Advocacy Day in Sacramento. Save the date on Tuesday, April 21st, 2026.
All right, maybe some of you saw yourself in the video, but hopefully that will give you an idea about the day's mood and just the atmosphere, and it's great to be in community with everybody on that day. So there are really two ways to lead lawmaker meetings. We definitely want to prioritize mobilizing as many advocates to meet with lawmakers in Sacramento on April 21st. Another option is to organize district meetings when lawmakers are back in their district offices during the week of March 30th, where you can schedule either virtual meetings, anytime in April as well. So this option would be good for folks that may not be able to travel to Sacramento. So just want to kind of give you that landscape of the two different options. Of course, we all want to try to strive for the big presence on the 21st in Sacramento. All right, so let's go into talking about some benefits for serving as captains. So captains are community leaders who step up to ensure the success of Arts Advocacy Day. In partnership and gratitude, this year, the team at CA for the Arts is committed to offering either you can choose a $50 discount for the 2026 Arts and Culture Summit registration, which happens the day before Advocacy Day on our April 20th this year. So that would be on a Monday. Or you can choose a free CA Arts Advocates individual membership, which is valued at $250. Your name will also be listed as a 2026 captain on our Advocacy Day website. And then you will also get an exclusive invitation to a fall 2026 virtual rally for captains who would like to organize district meetings next fall. Please keep in mind that the summit registration and membership benefits are non-transferable. So if you choose a membership, you will be getting that and we will issue to you upon completion of your service. If you select the summit discount registration and do not fulfill your service commitment, you will be charged a $50 registration fee. Okay, so the following resources are designed to help support captains. The first one is a captain's toolkit. We are finalizing that document now. And the toolkit will have details on what to do before, the day of, and after Advocacy Day, really to help you with the planning, the preparing, and execution of the meetings. And then this year, we are kind of curating and scaffolding our captain training series. So each webinar will offer a half hour of instruction and a half hour of hands-on practice and Q&A. Trainings number 1 and training number 2 are required for all captains to attend the webinar or watch the recording that will be shared in the follow-up emails. And you can see that each training will focus on different topics. And all 3 of these trainings are scheduled on Wednesdays. Okay, and then I'll kind of give you an at-a-glance calendar later on, but just know there are 3 trainings for the Captain Series, each an hour long, different topics, and there will also be recordings for you to view if you cannot join us live. Okay, so in addition to the toolkit and the training series, we are offering again this year the drop-in office hours, which will happen on 5 Fridays. And this is where our team will be available if you have questions, and also a great opportunity for you to connect with other captains and advocates too. We can do breakout rooms, answer questions, so you can drop in at any time during those hours on those select dates. And then on April 1st, that's when the countdown begins. We have the Get Ready to Advocate webinar, which is for everyone who signed up to attend Advocacy Day and lawmaker meetings to really learn about the talking points and the policy priorities. And again, all the information will be in the toolkit as well as communicated on our Advocacy Day Captains info page, which is up now. And so in the application form that will be shared later on in the session, you will need to sign and acknowledge these terms of agreement below. So captains will be required to attend 2 of the captain trainings on Zoom or watch the recordings. Captains are responsible for scheduling and confirming the meetings for lawmakers that you select and are assigned to. You will also use our Advocacy Day digital platform to communicate details about your meetings. And that will be more in detail once we get into the training and once we have all of our back end of our system up and running too. Captains will contact, confirm, and prepare all the advocates who will be in your meetings who sign up to attend those lawmaker meetings. And then captains must provide a valid email address and cell phone number that will be accessible to our team as staff and other advocates to communicate and coordinate all the meetings and messaging. And then lastly, captains will submit a captain's meeting report for each of your meetings that you serve and lead as a recap. And then in the event you can no longer fulfill the duties, you are responsible for finding another person to captain your assigned lawmaker meetings and notify me as soon as possible. It might be somebody on your team, or it might be somebody already going to Advocacy Day, or it might also be another captain who has the bandwidth to take on another meeting too. All right, and then just a quick reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat right now or save them for later when we have our Q&A. And Jenica on the team here will be answering questions in the chat and then joining me during the Q&A too. All right, okay, so looking at dates in your calendars, here on this screen is just an overview timeline at a glance. So this month in February, we're doing the info session today. Our application process and website is open as well. And then, during this month, you'll select your lawmakers, you'll attend the first of the required trainings, and then you can start to schedule meetings too. Then in March, captains will continue with training and getting meetings scheduled. In April, captains will meet with their advocates, and then the big day will be on April 21st. And captains will need to submit their meeting report, the recap I mentioned earlier, by May 1st. And then this next slide is more of the drill down key dates that captains will need to keep in mind. You can review this on your own, but basically it kind of lays out all of the different required trainings on Zoom. The drop-in hours are optional. The big webinar on April 1st, the deadline to register as an advocate, and then the district meeting memo there too as well. Okay, and then so now I'm so honored and lucky, and we're all very grateful to have 2 of our amazing past captains join us today. I want to invite them up. So Anne Brown and Anne Huang, thank you for being here. I'm going to get you up on screen here. And then they have graciously volunteered to share their experiences with us And we're really lucky to have them spend a little time with us this afternoon. All right. Can you all see Anne and Anne up on screen? Awesome. Well, thank you both again so much for taking time to join us and share experiences in this info session. So first off, before I start with some of the questions, can we have you both just kind of share your name, your affiliation, and how many times you've served as a captain for Arts Advocacy Day?
Who's going first? You want me to start?
Sure,
Okay.
go ahead, Anne.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anne Brown. I live in Auburn, which is not far from Sacramento. Lucky for me to be able to attend in person, which is so valuable. I am currently retired, but I was the executive director of the Auburn Symphony right here in Auburn. I attended Arts Advocacy Day one time, and then the next year I was a co-captain with the executive director of the Arts Council of Placer County. But I love doing this work so much, I'm hanging in for another year, even though I'm retired. So, yay. Anne?
Thank you, Anne. My name is Anne Huang, the Executive Director of World Arts West, arts service organization based in San Francisco. We've been around for 48 years and serve the largest world dance network in the country. I've served as the Arts Advocacy Day captain once last year and have also done some federal advocacy work. Then now on the proud new board member of California for the Arts.
Thank you both so much. And thank you just for being here and really sharing your knowledge from previous years, last year's, and then hoping to motivate those of the folks on the call that are interested and kind of curious about what does being a captain, mean, what it's all about. So first question to the both of you is, what did you enjoy about serving as a captain? It can be a few favorite things, or maybe just one thing that was a big takeaway for you. Feel free to jump in.
I'll jump in here
Again.
again. For me, it was so massively motivating to realize that we can make an impact and seeing it actually work. The first year that I went to Advocacy Day, I was not a captain, but I went with other people in my area. And it turns out that I was the only person from Placer County who was present that day at that Arts Advocacy meeting. So some of the meetings, even though I wasn't a captain, because I was the only person from my county, I was the only one who went to a couple of the scheduled meetings with our assemblymen. And the thing that allowed me to do was to talk about my specific organization with the staff in these offices and to talk about the general issues as well, because you're given lots of information and leave behinds and all that kind of stuff. They make it very easy for you to do this sort of thing. But I was able to start to develop a relationship with these folks that I met, because when there was a call to action during the year that was because I was local, I went down to a budget assembly subcommittee meeting, and I stood up and I spoke at the podium to say my piece, and the people from the office recognized me. They reached out to me. So it was really about developing that relationship, right, between not just the arts in general, but more specific, because it takes time. Relationship building is so critical, but again, it takes time. And if you're in there and you have to make it happen, right? And everybody's so busy and it feels overwhelming, but it's very doable because Californians for the Arts makes it so accessible to all of us to do this really, really valuable work.
Thank you for sharing, Anne. And Anne Huang, what did you enjoy about serving as a captain last year?
Well, I'll say that I lead an organization with a very large community of immigrant and refugee cultural artists. I, like many artists in our community, have felt at the margins or even below the margins of like policy conversations and understanding policies and how do the policies affect us. And therefore, when you feel like that for a very long time, you don't feel like advocacy works because why should I advocate for something when it makes no difference? And I frankly felt like that for a very long time until recent years, when I started to have, some advocacy opportunities, local and federal. But I would say it is through this uh, role of being advocacy captain that for the first time I was able to do, a deep dive of learning, really, I would say, not how to go to City Hall tomorrow because I got an email today, but a seasonal arts advocacy a roadmap. The so I would say like the seasonal advocacy roadmap have three parts: advocacy day, and post-advocacy day. I felt like California for Arts really, really, really gave so much information for me to learn about how to schedule legislator meetings pre-advocacy day, how to go about conducting legislative meetings during advocacy day. And I've done quite a bit post advocacy day in staying in touch with the legislators that I and my community met, and just met with legislative director of Assembly Member Matt Haney and hoping for Assembly member to step up as legislative state champions of our budget asks. So that learning of roadmap of advocacy, which is kind of hard to find, like in a book, was so, so, so valuable. And the last thing I'll say is it was super empowering, super powerful to be in community. In my two groups, I had large groups, and it was, we've stayed in touch. And it was really, really invigorating, during this very distressing time, 2025, to be in community with other advocates from my geographic community. And we've gone on to kind of work on different local advocacy issues.
That's great. It sounds like both of you have taken away not only from the service of that actual day of Advocacy Day at the Capitol, but also long after too as well, and still going on. So thank you. And that kind of leads into my next question for the both of you is, what knowledge or skills have you learned to help you become a more effective advocate by serving as a captain?
So for me, I kind of need to tell the story of what happened. So as I mentioned before, I went that first year and I was the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was extremely committed to the next year, there's going to be a bunch of us. So that was in my brain. And then I attended the annual conference with the Association of California Symphony Orchestras, which is a statewide organization, works with Californians for the Arts. And I went to the session that summer and I met Tracy Hudak, who's phenomenal, you guys. She is the bomb. And I said, would you be willing to come to Placer County to talk to us, to talk to our greater arts community about advocacy, about what your organization does? Would you be willing to do that? And she stepped right up. And not only did Tracy come, but also Julie Baker came. She happens to live nearby in Grass Valley, so we were really fortunate. So because there was just there was changeover at the Arts Council in Placer County, there was like a lack of organization of bringing people together that had been going on for a while. And I'm like, we need to get everybody at the same table. We need to communicate. We need to talk. So, so together with the Arts Council, my organization and the two of us put together a meeting in December of that year. So that was December of 24, invited arts organization leaders throughout Placer County, elected officials, board of supervisors, everybody and anybody who we could get to come, stakeholders. And we had a meeting with, I think almost 80 people came. It was phenomenal. And these guys did a presentation. I got a hotel to donate their conference room to us. We all kind of pieced together and had food and whatnot, brought everybody together, and just the energy in the room was amazing. And I'm like, I spoke and the head of the Arts Council spoke at the time. And we were just like, we need to get together. We need to do this. That, Julie brought all this data and facts about not only what was going on nearby, but within the state and the federal level. And it's just, you could just see everybody's eyes, when you really see the numbers, and they're so concise about presenting all this data to everyone. Anyway, the meeting was super well received. So that kicked us off. And I said, we are all going, as many of us as we can get. We're going in April. We had follow-up meeting. It was either in January or February, specific to Advocacy Day. And we ended up with a group of, I don't know, 15 maybe, which was pretty good. We had scheduled meetings. We went and met as a group. We had people from museums, artist tour, music, Sierra College, the JC community and their arts stuff. So we had a really very fertile group, a very juicy group of people, that we met. And again, we're developing this relationship with the Assemblyman's office, and we went in there and we have since gone back and had tours of the Capitol and tours of the grounds, and we're just, again, relationship building, because even though he's on the other side politically than a lot of us are, you still have to build the relationships. But I just feel like it was very successful, this bringing together. So skills wise, you just have to be, I guess for me in my work, I did a lot of event planning anyway. So it was getting everybody together, putting on the event, creating the energy, having the passion, and sharing that. And it was magic. And it's just, I can't say enough about it, how it makes you feel empowered. As Anne was also saying, it makes you feel like you are really having an impact. And as the assemblyman, the staff, the people in the office said to us, we want to see you. We want you to talk to us. We want to communicate. So that was very valuable too, because my feeling a couple years earlier was like, I'm just a nobody. Yeah, I'm just this tiny little person in this little town, but we all have a voice, and it really works. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you, Anne. And Juan, you kind of touched upon it a little bit already, but can you share any more about the knowledge or skills you have learned that has helped you become a more effective advocate by serving as a captain?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do a little bit deeper dive on this first point I'm going to make, is like how to schedule a meeting with a legislator. It's not as simple as contact the email that CFTA gave you, because sometimes, given this email, and that person may be like, oh, let me connect you with somebody, and that person may say, let me connect you with somebody else. So, and I did reach out to a CFTA staff a few times about, okay, I'm getting this, but how do I navigate this? It is, so for the folks who may sign up as new captains, the email contact that CFTA gives you may not be the final contact that you have on our advocacy day, right? So give yourself plenty of time. But it was very, very good, because I'm navigating the same thing now with scheduling local meetings with legislators. So just like a kind of good skill set to have. Two, given the very short time window, and I think I really learned how to succinctly get the talking points out. And CFTA gave really great script. But I also insisted on, because my group was very large, I insisted on having a dress rehearsal. So we had a dress rehearsal. So everybody was on point. I'm in the performing arts events management business. That, to me, that dress rehearsal was such a key to our success. Last is, I had I think initial like waiting, this sort of sign up cutoff was 10 people. I had, over 30 people signed up sort of in totality. So I made an executive decision to let everybody in, and not everybody showed up, but still, like, both groups were very large. We could not go into the rooms. We had meetings in the hallway. I think it was really good to flex our collective power, how many people showed up in front of those legislators. And I wanted to give equitable voices, but we feel like it's how. So I had to kind of figure that out on the fly of like, we only have so much time, but how do I make sure that the group's voices are represented individually, cohesively? That was an art and a science. So for folks who are new captains trying to figure that out, if your groups are large, please reach out to CFTA staff to help you navigate that because you have such a short amount of time and it is a little bit of performance, right? So
Yeah, no, thank you. It's like a jigsaw puzzle sometimes. And, depending on if the lawmaker's office they're willing to give us 2 meeting times for the same lawmaker, then let's take it and we can work with you all to make, 2 slots, right? To get more voices heard. From the both of you, it sounds like a lot of the skills and knowledge is really based upon showing up and being present in numbers, right? And what we're advocating for is important. And sometimes it does seem like it's the long game, right? A slow burn. However, every little bit helps. So thank you both so much for sharing your knowledge and skills. Next question would be, what are some of the best practices, which has been kind of shared already? So what are some of the best practices you would like to share with those interested in serving as captains this year? I heard, Anne Wong, you mentioned about, timing, right? So making sure we try to get those meetings scheduled as soon as possible because lawmakers are busy. We may not get the ideal time you want, especially if you're going to be attending other meetings or leading other meetings that might conflict with the time. So any other kind of best practices that new captains and returning captains should keep in mind?
I think also, yeah, scheduling the meetings is really key. And I had a co-captain last year. So just to clarify, are people still able to have co-captains this year?
Okay, great question. So this year we are only having one primary captain just for management purposes. And it's also listed in our Q&A that if you need some help, because some people have co-captains to help do different things for them, right? Either it's scheduling or putting documents together. If you do so, you can. It's just we need to have one primary captain that I would be communicating and sending any messages with, and that captain, can delegate or forward anything else to whoever's helping them. So that's so thank you for bringing that up too as well.
Yeah, that's a great clarification. So yeah, it was helpful actually to have two of us kind of tackling things together. And I understand that you need one main contact, and that makes a lot of sense. But still, if you're able to get somebody who's motivated to help you, you could divide and conquer a little bit as far as, we split up who we were reaching out to do the meetings, and knowing that if they got scheduled simultaneously, we could separate and do the talking points and whatnot. Yeah, and it's just keeping up the energy because people are like, yeah, I'm all in, I'm going. And then you get closer to it and people's lives get busy and that sort of thing. So you just have to keep that momentum going as you lead up to it. And I think that was a fabulous idea of having a dress rehearsal, get everybody together, talk. They're more engaged in that way if everybody knows that, oh, I better show up because I have a speaking part, right? So making sure people are really embedded in the process, I guess is what I would add.
Thank you. Any other best practices to add, Anne Huang?
Yeah, a few more points. CFT is going to offer lots of resources, training sessions, and office hours. I took full advantage of them and found them very helpful. So for captains signing up, just take advantage of them. And I found like, for example, the office hour to be really helpful to show up and just ask my specific questions. So that was really great. And then in general, if you have any questions, I was confused plenty of times. Reach out to CFTA staff. They're so great at giving you timely support. And this next one is very, very important. Give yourself plenty of time to begin scheduling your meetings. Took much longer than I had anticipated. Then the dress rehearsal, your group is large, schedule rehearsal. And then if you wonder how you should, and how to stay in contact with your legislators. CFT has great sort of thank you letter templates. One thing I want to note is make sure you get from your advocacy day, make sure you get a local contacts and then stay in touch with your local contacts. And when the timing's right, schedule a meeting with them to discuss relative issues. So just not just important to stay with the Sacramento contacts, but with your legislators, local contacts. And very, very last thing is, most likely we will be meeting with the staff of the legislators. If your legislators just happen to be walking by, which happened with our legislators, stop them, chat briefly, and take a photo. So I just remember making a note, and we did that. Assembly member Haney and Senator Haney just happened to be walking by. We did not meet with them specifically, but we now have photos with them and share on social media and so forth. It's really, really great.
Yes, what a great way to amplify visibility too. So thank you both so much. In a moment, we're going to actually get some questions from the audience to ask both of you. However, I would now like to introduce our Director of Policy and Advocacy, who's traveling today, but happy to make a cameo. I'm going to bring Tracy Hudak onto the screen here to say hello and give a few words of encouragement.
Hi, everyone. Hi, thank you. Just want to give a warm welcome to our family of arts advocacy leaders in California. Thank you. This fabulous team has you covered, as you've already probably heard about all of the resources. And we're just very, very excited that you're dedicating your time to this cause. For our new captains, we've got you covered. No question is we learn from your questions. So please engage us all through the process. And for our seasoned veterans, we hope you enjoy the improvements to the program this year. Jennifer, Jenica, Charlie, myself, a lot of deep thinking and work going into this. So just kudos to the team for kicking us off and launching. And we are, for those of you joining us at Arts Advocacy Day at the Capitol, we'll be very excited to see you there. And for those that want to organize meetings locally, we're eager to support you all along the way. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Okay, so I'm going to go take us back into gallery view. And as I'm doing that, for those that might have questions to ask any of our previous captains here or share anything, please go ahead and either drop it in the chat and Jenica can help read them out loud, or if you want to just take yourself off mute and turn on your microphones, you're welcome to do so as well. And this is also a space for any other returning captains. I know some of you may want to chime in and either add on or just recognize, yes, that was a great point. Please start early. So opening up the floor to all of you. Yes, Allison.
So this is, I think, my third or fourth year. And so just 4 quick best practices. One is research your ledge person that you're going to be meeting with, what committees they serve on, their bio, who else is on their committees and their staff. So definitely do the research so that you can really customize it. The other thing is, especially if you have a large group going to be meeting, ask your team members to pre-write a 2 to 3 minute speech or what they're going to do, because sometimes we all love to talk. And so sometimes team members will take over a meeting and the rest of the team members don't get a chance. So to pre-write that, really do that. The other thing that I started doing, and I do this with donors too, is I open up the asking the ledge staff, what kinds of music or arts do they enjoy, or have they had experience as a painter, as doing ceramics, or a musician, to get them to kind of open up the aperture of how arts and music are a part of everyone's life. And so rather than just us just yammering away right away, opening that conversation piece up. And then the final thing is, and I'm sure the toolkit has it, is the importance of the leave behinds and to send a personal thank you right away, the day after your meeting with them, to send them a card, an email, to thank them, and be available for any follow-up questions that those folks will have. So those are my four points.
Thank you, Allison. And any other past and returning captains like to chime in with any other best practices before we go on to our next steps and then the larger Q&A? Go ahead, Rachel. Hi.
Hey, I'm Rachel Osajima from Alameda County Arts Commission. Alice and I always start my visits also with asking the staffers if they have any experience in arts, culture, and creativity, and that seems that's an excellent icebreaker. About large groups, we always get a large group from Alameda County. When I'm scheduling my meetings, I tell them I anticipate having, I also agreed with the staff and made an executive decision to allow all of my Alameda County visitors into all my meetings, which was often about 30 people. And in my meeting requests, I always request to meet in a conference room. I tell them that there's a big group, tell them we have to meet in a conference room, and almost always they approve. And that allows for just a lot more effective meeting. I have not asked for a double block though, which I think is a good idea too. Just ask for, if you anticipate being in that category, ask for a conference room. Okay,
Great,
thanks.
thank you, Rachel. Any other best practices from our returning and previous captains? And if anything comes up, we have a little more time at the end too as well. Okay. Thank you so much, Ann Huang and Ann Brown, for testimonials, and all of our returning captains. Rachel, Allison, thank you for chiming in too. Always great to share wisdom and experiences and best practices. So more to come on that. I think it'll especially come up during our training series as well as in our drop-in hours too. So you're welcome to hang out with us during those times. Okay, I'm going to go back to the slide and then talk a bit about the next steps here. So now that you've gotten a snapshot of what it means to serve as a captain, we invite you to review this session again via the recording that will be on the YouTube channel and emailed to you in a follow-up email. And look at the application form to gauge your capacity. So if you decide that you won't be able to fulfill the duties, we still hope that you will still register as an advocate to attend these important meetings with lawmakers. And then if you decide to move forward, and whether this is your first time or you've served in the past, please complete the application form. They are being accepted on an ongoing basis until all lawmaker meetings, approximately 120 of them, have been assigned captains to. And also anyone who is planning on attending Arts Advocacy Day to participate in lawmaker meetings must register for this free event. So make sure you do so regardless if you are going to be leading as a captain or not. And then while you wait for your approval of your captain application form, you can still register for the event if you are planning on attending any meetings. For those of you that are applying, once we notify you of which meetings you are assigned to as a captain, we will go in the system and label the advocate registration as a captain, so people know exactly which meetings you are going to be leading as a captain. So definitely please check the captain's info page for details, and the FAQs are also on there. That will be updated periodically too as we're gathering more questions from all of you. All right, so now I would like to invite Jenica Bisbee to join me on screen here for some of our Q&A from the audience. This can be captain specific or anything arts advocacy related. Go ahead and stop. All right, here we go. Okay, do you have any questions from the chat box for now, Jenica?
Not yet.
Anyone want to welcome? You're also welcome to unmute and ask a question.
Jennifer, while we're maybe thinking about
Rachel's hand is up real quick. Go ahead, Rachel.
Amazing.
I realized that what I said was sort of like an insider's statement. So each legislator has a little tiny conference room, and it usually only seats like 5 people. It's very, very small. And so they have what are called like separate large conference rooms in the building on each floor. And so, and they're large. They hold what seem to be usually 50 or 100 people, at least 50 people. So if you're requesting a conference room, you need to say, I'm requesting one of your large separate meeting rooms that could hold 50 people. So I just wanted to be clear, to clarify. You're not requesting a little tiny conference room that only holds 6 people.
Yeah, we want to go bigger, right? Bigger the better. Thank you, Rachel. All right, and then Patricia. Go ahead, your mic is on mute. I'm going to add you here on Spotlight. Oh, we still can't hear you.
Hello?
There you go. We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, I've been in the advocacy day for a couple of years now, and I just want to give a shout out to her because I was in one of her groups,
Yes.
a couple of her groups, and she was amazing. So my question is, I sometimes go between the Bay and the Central Valley, and this year, so I do that, and then I co-captain with Colton in the Central Valley. I notice he's not here today, but I'll check with him because I think he's usually the captain, but I'll set up the meetings and stuff. But he may, and we both speak, but we'll have one contact person, so that's not a problem. What I was wondering about is one year also we visited, how important is it this year to talk to all the representatives on both sides of the aisle, so to, because I think given a lot of the things that are happening right now, the tendency maybe is to go to the usual suspects, we should, but also really making a point to make sure everybody has somebody talking to them about the arts and the importance, and even if they're not from their district. So any thoughts about that strategy? And is that like just really impossible? Is it helpful? Is it not strategic? I don't really know the bigger picture on how that works.
I can share my thoughts, and Jenica, feel free to jump in. I definitely think that all voices are important. I know lawmakers do want to meet with their constituents from their district first, first and foremost. However, I think it's also seeing if it's making a bigger impact by scheduling lawmaker meetings at Sacramento when we're all there on the 21st, in addition to scheduling some virtual ones or in district when they're back in their offices too. And I think with virtual, you can definitely open it up to people that are outside of those regions too, right? So that's a great thought and question too. Thank you, Patricia. Jenica, anything you want to chime in on that?
I guess not really, but just to say we're trying to obviously serve, all aspects, all parties. So the more we are engaging with all parties, I think that's great. So yeah.
Thank you, Patricia. And Jennifer Lang.
Hi.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I have a question. So I've served as captain the last few years, and I'm from like a very small but important district because it includes Speaker Rivas. So I usually captain that meeting and then work with my neighboring colleagues to captain a couple other meetings nearby. But I wanted to see if like we could maybe set up a process or like sign up thing for two things, like one, representatives that don't have anybody really taking the lead on those meetings. Even if so for someone like me, I'm happy to set aside the whole day and help lead meetings in other districts, which I know they mostly want to meet with their constituents, but just I'm not sure if there's a way to kind of sign up, like, you're happy to captain other districts as well. And then there also needs to be a system for kind of like triaging situations where like someone signed up to captain and then had an emergency or had to leave, because that also came up last year where I ended up supporting a delegate whose captain had to leave and he was the only person. And it was like, I helped prep him and also encouraged him to attend, because the worst thing would be to set up a meeting and just be a no-show. So I'm also wondering, like, how could we set up a system where there's like an emergency, number or something like that, where you can say, hey, can you show up at this legislator's office right now and help lead this meeting, you know, for those of us that maybe have more experience and maybe have some time throughout the day to do it.
Great, that's a great point. I think definitely one thing I noted on here was if anyone needed to, you know, or no longer able to serve for any reason at any point, definitely if they can find someone as a backup, whether it's someone on their staff or another captain somewhere else, and trying to coordinate that and notifying us would be ideal. However, things do happen. So I think it's also about our team making sure that we have leave behind packets. We also are stressing for folks that are advocates who may not have signed up for meetings, but they still want to do something, maybe just calling on them to be able to drop those leave behind packets to those lawmaker offices where the meeting had to be canceled or whatnot too. But we definitely will keep that in mind. And all this also helps us during this conversation and during the Q&A because it's going to help us build our processes as well as add it to the FAQ page. So thank you, Jennifer. Jenica, your mic.
Jennifer, we have some questions in the chat, so mind if I...
Yes, we'll switch over to that. And Ulysses, I do see your hand, so we will get to that as well. So
cool. All right, so Irene, you have a question about, so we serve in our city or do we need to go out to Sacramento? So Arts Advocacy Day is in Sacramento, so if you want to join in the rally and the march and all the lawmaker meetings that day on April 21st, then you're going to Sacramento, but you also have the opportunity to meet in district with your lawmakers too while they're in their districts. And I believe that's March 30th through April 3rd is the window that we're recommending you schedule. Some lawmakers, they're not, there's a holiday, March 30th, I believe. And so they may actually still be working that day. So you might be able to meet with them on that day. It just depends on their schedule, but that's like the window. You could also meet with your lawmakers in their districts. Let's see what else we have here. Jacqueline, how are areas divided? Yes, so Jennifer, you got the link in there, but by assembly districts and Senate districts, you can look that up. And there's a video for how to do that. Naomi, you have a question. Will there be a roundup of pending topics and legislation that may relate to our conversations with legislators? So we do have our policy priorities and talking points that Tracy is working on, and it's really dependent on some of their deadlines with the policy work at the state level, and sometimes it's a little bit last minute, so we try to get it to you as soon as possible, but there will be those resources for you a little bit before in April, definitely. So
awesome. Thank you all for your questions in the chat. So we have Ulysses, and then we'll go to Michelangelo. And thank you, Ulysses, for adding your vocal testimony on our video. We appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, no worries. Yeah, it was great. I'm actually very excited. This will be the first time that I'm looking to serve as a captain, but it's the second time attending. And I know our executive director has served as a captain in the past, so it's definitely very great. I do have a couple of questions. First one is about the application form. I do need to apply again. Well, the first one was like an interest form, and this is the actual application that I want to be a captain, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll have that completed. Now, in regards to the groups that are created, I am planning to bring a few artists and advocates to Sacramento with us on our Advocacy Day. But I'm wondering if there are other advocates who might want to be part of any groups or anything like that. Do you guys help connect us with those artists if we have room in our group? And also, what is the limit of how many members do you recommend to have in each group?
Jenica, did you want to take that on first with your more experience?
Oh, sorry. I was typing
no worries.
Something.
So in terms of the meeting caps, we usually, when we set up a system and we open it up for registration, there's an average of 10. But we also know that once the captain starts to connect with the lawmakers meetings, such as what Rachel and Juan mentioned, that they want to get as many people. So if the lawmaker can accommodate up to 30 people, great. Just let us know that so that we can increase that capacity for whatever meeting you're leading, so that we can get more advocates signed up and fill in those spots. So hopefully that answers one question. I think your second question is more about like, Is it special groups or artists who like want to attend your actual lawmaker meeting, or is it just outside of artists who live outside of the region? Can you clarify that other question you have, please?
So I was basically thinking that answers actually a lot of the questions. So
Okay.
about the how many people we are able to have. But I was wondering, so for example, the reason why I'm asking is because we did meet some artists and some advocates in Sacramento the day of that they were not part of any group per se. So we're like, oh, perfect. Here, just welcome. We just welcome into our groups. We kind of went over some of the key points that we're talking about, and then we just went into the meetings with them, which was fine. Like, we're always happy to continue to do that. But I was wondering, is there like a list or something where like people can go, like if someone is interested on being part of Advocacy Day and they're not really part of any group or they want to connect to a captain, would you guys facilitate that? I guess that was the question.
Yeah, so in general, our team is recruiting advocates, right? Just kind of like with our messaging of, come to Arts Advocacy Day. This is what it is. And they themselves can, find their local lawmakers using that tutorial video that we put in the chat, as well as the toolkit. So they know exactly which lawmakers they should be meeting with. And then going on the registration site to sign up to attend those meetings, then they will find out who those captains are. So that's one way. And I feel like there's something else I wanted to add to that, but does that answer your, also, another note about the meeting capacity. Sometimes when you start to schedule, maybe the lawmaker's like, no, we only have room for 5 advocates, including the captain. And then obviously our limit is set at 10. Like, we also need to know like right away, like, oh, we need to decrease to 5 because their office only allows 5. So that's also the reverse of, communication, so that we can adjust accordingly too. And then also, if you have, if you already know some folks that you are interested in for sure coming to certain meetings that you're leading, please have them register for it ASAP, because those meetings are first come, first serve. So even though we will help recruit in general, if you already know people in your network that, you want them to be in those seats and at that table, please have them just sign up and register for those lawmaker meetings ASAP.
Perfect. Actually, that sparked the other question. So I'll make sure that everyone that I'm bringing with signs up for those meetings as well.
Correct. Yeah. Even though like let's say your name is not as captain yet, they can still go and just sign up and select those lawmakers, even though there's no time, meeting time set yet.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think that's very helpful. I'm sure more information will come as if we're selected for captains. So.
Yeah. Thank you. More to come.
Thank you.
Okay, Jenica, anything else?
Yeah, and Allison Cagley has a question, so I'll just say that. Yeah, so she was asking about the live site that shows who is signed up for specific lawmaker, and we were able to do that in the past. So how can we see that for keeping track of who's in the meetings? Essentially, we will have some sort of setup like that. It's currently in development. We're wanting to make this as easy for folks as possible, so I want to make sure we set it up best for you all. So,
all right. Thank you all. I'm going to, with a minute left, I'm just going to show just one last slide. So again, thank you all for joining us today, attending this Captain Info session. Michelangelo, I think you may have a question too, so we can also offline in a second. But please stay connected with us. If you have any general questions, please email action@caforthearts.org. Charlie, our intern this season, will be mostly monitoring that inbox. That's for anything related to Arts Advocacy Day in general. I am the main point person for all captains. So if you still have questions after looking through the info page and the FAQs, please reach out to me. And thank you. We really hope to see all of you at Arts Advocacy Day. Thank you all and take care. And then we'll stay on for a few more moments for those that may have questions. Otherwise, again, this will be recorded and available for our YouTube page and in an email. So thank you all. Take care.